Can you lose fat and build muscle at the same time? Most people say the answer is simple. It's just not possible. You've got to be in a calorie surplus to gain muscle, but then in a calorie deficit to lose fat, so the two goals just aren't compatible. This is the typical bulking and cutting approach that we use in my sport of bodybuilding to maximize the amount of muscle we can gain between competition seasons. But there have been an increasing number of studies recently that have shown similar results, such as this 2023 study and this 2013 one, which found that people who ate an extra 600 calories each day gained a similar amount of muscle to those without a large calorie surplus, but gained more than 3 times the amount of fat. So it's pretty clear that although bulking does have its benefits in terms of the amount of muscle you can gain, there's often a lot of unwanted fat that comes along with it if you get overly excited with your calorie surplus. And the more excess fat you gain, the longer you're going to have to cut to reveal that well-earned muscle that you've spent months trying to put on. This is where body recomposition comes in, and we can use it to decrease our body fat percentage as we build muscle at the same time. Because fat and muscle tissues are two completely separate systems. Yes, you can burn fat as energy and use that energy to help fuel the muscle building process, but it's not a direct conversion. So gaining a whole lot of extra fat isn't going to do you a whole lot of favors. So it's definitely possible to build muscle and change your body composition with only a small calorie surplus, which is actually what I'm currently doing at the moment, or even without a surplus at all, if you follow the 5 steps that I'll go through in a bit. But a lot of coaches won't tell you clearly that your approach to body recomposition has to be different whether your focus is on lean gaining or leaning out. And a lot of people think that body recomposition will only work for a tiny percentage of people who are either new to the gym or have the perfect genetics. Well, you're going to want to listen up, because in reality, the percentage of people who are going to see amazing results with body recomposition is a lot higher than you think. But how do you know if you're part of that percentage? We can split these people up into 4 categories. Number 1, gym newbies. Advanced bodybuilders envy you guys because your muscle building potential is literally through the roof. Your body's going to be in the best position out of everyone in these 4 categories, because if you've got a decent diet and you're progressing with your resistance training in the gym, then you'll be able to use the calories that are currently stored as fat to help fuel the muscle building process. Group 2. If you're overweight, you can actually use this to your advantage because you're going to be able to build muscle in a calorie deficit, which is also what we need for fat loss, as you already have a lot of energy stored as body fat, which you can use to help fuel your workouts. If you're someone who says, I used to be jacked once, then you're in group 3. And I'll tell you now, muscle memory is a very powerful thing. So if you stop training for a while because of an injury or other commitments, exams, then you're going to be able to rebuild a lot of that muscle extremely quickly. And your body can pull some of the energy you need to fuel this process from your fat stores as well. Number 4 are people who are on gear. And you know what kind of gear I'm talking about. These enhanced individuals can lean on that enhancement to build a lot of muscle very quickly and pull energy from their fat stores as well. So next time you walk into a commercial gym, you'll probably see people in all 4 of these categories. But just thinking about it, there's also a 5th category that I want to include. I guess you could kind of group them with the newbie lifters because they're going to see a similar rate of body recomposition. These are people who might class themselves as intermediate or even advanced lifters because they've been going to the gym for a while. But their last reps look like this, they haven't been putting much effort into their nutrition, and really they know they could be trying a lot harder in their workouts. Body recomposition is going to be effective for a lot more of the population than you think. And these remaining people that body recomp might not be the best option for are properly advanced trainees or experienced athletes who already have their training and nutrition completely on point and are pretty close to their genetic potential for muscle growth. To put this into perspective, these optimized lifters make up 1%, so you can stop making excuses now. Okay, so now we know that building muscle and losing fat at the same time is actually achievable for us. There are 5 simple steps we can take to get there. First, we need to get our priorities straight. If someone put a gun to your head and you had to decide, would you rather build muscle or lose fat? There is no both. If you're currently on the leaner side and would sort of class yourself as skinny fat, then your main focus should be on building muscle. But if you're on the softer side with a slightly higher amount of body fat, then your main focus right now should probably be on leaning out. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on exact body fat percentages because let's be real, most people don't actually know their body fat percentage, and to really know the numbers accurately, you're going to have to go for a DEXA scan, and to be honest, for the majority of us, it's just not worth the effort. But if we're not tracking our progress by body fat percentage, how are we going to do it? When we're doing body recomposition, it makes absolutely no sense to rely on the scale weight as the be-all end-all, because throughout the process, you're going to be losing fat and building muscle at the same time. So your weight's going to stay roughly the same, but your appearance can look drastically different. So there's 3 methods we're going to use to track progression. Number 1, progress photos. A lot of the time when we just look in the mirror, it can be so easy to get bogged down because we feel like we've not made any progress. But taking weekly progress photos is a really valuable tool in helping you to take a step back and objectively see how far you've come. Number 2 is take measurements. Over time, in general, if your waist measurement is decreasing and measurements from places like your arms are gradually increasing, this can be a pretty good sign that your body recomposition is going in the right direction. If you're not quite sure how to go about taking measurements, then you can also go off how you feel in your clothes, how things are fitting, and stuff like that. Number 3, tracking your progress in the gym. As you build muscle, you're going to be able to lift more weight. So if you can lift heavier or do more reps of a certain exercise on week 3 than you could on week 1, then this is a great indicator that you're heading in the right direction. Step 3, training. You've got to understand that your training is going to be the catalyst for body recomposition, whichever of the 5 groups of people you fit into. You might have the perfect, most optimal diet, eating exclusively whole foods or getting 10,000 grams of protein every single day with not a processed food in sight. But if you're not doing resistance training with enough intensity or progressing your lifts in the gym, then you're not going to build much new muscle. Think about your body as an airplane. Your training is going to represent the engine. So if you don't have the right training, there's no way you're going anywhere. And if your nutrition is the fuel, then even though better quality fuel is going to lead to better performance, if you don't have the engine, you're still stuck on the runway. We can also think about the less obvious aspects such as sleep, recovery, and stress levels as the maintenance checks on the plane, which sort of go on behind the scenes but are essential to keep us flying on the journey. Step 4, nutrition. So you've decided whether your main goal is to build muscle or lose fat. But now you have to figure out the number of calories that you need to eat every day to maintain your current weight. This is called your number of maintenance calories. You can get a rough estimate of your maintenance calories using an online calorie calculator. I'll put a link in the description. But for the first few weeks, it can be a good idea to eat at this number of calories and then track your weight to see whether you've lost weight, gained weight, or stayed the same. And if your weight drops, then your maintenance calories are probably a bit higher than you first estimated, and vice versa. Once you have your maintenance calories, if your main goal is to build muscle, then I'd recommend adding a surplus of between 5 and 20% of your maintenance intake to your daily amount of calories. If your main focus is on fat loss, then we're going to go the other way and enter a 5 to 20% calorie deficit. To simplify things a bit, the leaner or less experienced you are in the gym, the higher the calorie surplus you can get away with. And the more fat you have to lose, the faster that should happen by being in a larger calorie deficit. Next, we're going to set some macronutrient goals. These are the main components that your diet's made up of, specifically carbs, fats, and proteins, with protein being the most important macronutrient for body recomposition and muscle growth. You've probably heard me say this so many times on my channel, but protein is the building block that your body needs to build muscle. So if you're not eating enough protein, then you're essentially not providing your body with enough of the right materials it needs to grow. You'll hear a lot of different people saying you need different amounts of protein to build muscle, and I'm thinking about doing a deep dive video into this, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. But to keep things short, if you're on the leaner side, try to aim for around 1.6 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And if you're on the softer side with a higher level of body fat, then you can get closer to 1.2 grams per pound. Because this range is based on lean body weight, if you're on the softer side with a higher body fat percentage, then you can usually get a better estimate for the amount of protein you should be eating by using 1 gram per centimeter of your height. Now, if you've heard this before, you might notice that both ends of the scale are actually above what you typically hear, which is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But this is because there's been no real scientific evidence in healthy individuals that eating a high protein diet has any negative side effects on your health. So in body recomposition, it makes sense to slightly over-provide with the materials that your body could potentially use to help you build muscle, rather than adding more calories from fats or carbs, which are mainly used as an energy source. On top of that, protein also has the highest effect on your metabolism out of the 3 macronutrients, helping you burn more calories throughout the day. In terms of macronutrient ratios, we're going to base this around the protein goal that we already decided. So let's say I'm in a body recomp phase. If my weight is 106 pounds and I'm on the lean side, so I'm aiming for 1.6 grams of protein per pound of body weight, multiplying that out means I should be getting 170 grams of protein per day. My maintenance calories are 2,500, so since there are 4 calories in a gram of protein, that means 680 of my calories should be coming from protein. In general, I tend to get around 25 to 30% of my calories from fats. So going for 30%, that means 750 calories from fats, leaving 1,070 calories, which would come from carbs. Step 5 is all about optimization to really get the best results possible. Now, if you're a beginner, relax, because you can get away without focusing too much on these optimization techniques. As long as your diet's pretty clean, you're progressing in the gym and following the last 4 steps, then you're going to see great results. But if you've been training for a while, making progress can get a bit trickier. So it becomes more and more important to optimize the way you go about body recomposition in order to get the most bang for your buck. First, the most important one, if you want to completely transform your physique, and most people sleep on this, pun intended, is sleep. I was one of these people, but when I found this study, it suddenly made me realize how much of an impact the amount of sleep you get actually has. It was a 2018 study that split 36 participants into 2 groups. Both groups were in a calorie deficit, and the only difference was one group was getting 1 less hour of sleep than the other group during the weekdays, and they were allowed to have a lie-in at the weekends to catch up. You'd expect the results to be the same, right? Because they're getting a similar amount of sleep in total. But after 8 weeks of their diet, the amount of weight lost in both groups was the same. But get this, the group that consistently got more sleep lost 83% of the weight from fat mass, while the group that got less sleep lost 85% of their weight from lean mass. That's mostly muscle. So if that doesn't motivate you to get to bed a little bit earlier tonight, I don't know what will. Because even though the people in the study weren't doing resistance training, the difference that 1 hour of sleep made to the entire composition of their body is actually insane. Next, we have supplements. Before you get your hopes up, no, I'm sorry, there aren't any supplements that are going to magically change your body composition. However, there are 3 that I'd recommend having a look at. The first being really beneficial if you're someone who finds it difficult to get enough protein in throughout the day. You've probably already guessed, but it's protein powder. Protein powder can also be especially important for vegan or vegetarian lifters, as it provides the essential amino acids that might be harder to get in without supplementation. Most vegan protein powders are usually made from rice or pea protein as opposed to whey protein or casein, and I'll link some recommendations in the description. Second is the most widely researched supplement on the market. It has a low risk of side effects and helps with the water retention in your muscles and allows them to recover more quickly during your workouts. Is creatine monohydrate. Creatine's actually produced naturally by your body anyway, but it's recommended to supplement with between 3 to 5 grams per day. I tend to have it just when I get home after my workout, but it really doesn't matter when in the day you take it. Thirdly, we have caffeine. I'm talking coffee, I'm talking pre-workout, you name it. The only thing with caffeine is that unlike the other 2 supplements, your body can become sensitized to it. That means if you keep having the same amount every single day, then eventually the effects aren't going to be that noticeable. So it might be a good idea to only use caffeine on the days where you're going to be doing a more intense workout, or try cycling on and off it every few weeks just so you can keep getting the benefits. Next, we've got nutrient timing. It's super important to make sure you're getting enough fuel in before your workouts so that you've got enough energy to put 100% into your session. This is going to help you create the best stimulus for muscle growth and is going to help you build more muscle in the long run. So you can check out the kind of things that I'm currently eating around my workouts in this full day of eating video next. See you there.